what a cool opportunity here. We jump right into conference tournament play. I mean, you guys got to feel really excited about getting to this point in the postseason and it being just down the road. You got a little bit of a home sand feel.
Yeah, we're super excited. Huntsville is like one of the premier facilities in the country. They do a great job like with all of their events, right? So we're excited that it's a drive and not a long flight, and the weather's shaping up to be warm and maybe a little rainy, but nothing that we're not used to in beach season. So the girls are really excited to be close to home and have a lot of home feel advantage, if you will.
And you've won a bunch recently. Really, one of your last couple of meet losses coming to a top 25 opponent. That's got to feel pretty good too. That you've had some good competition, but also stacked some wins heading into postseason play. What have you liked about your girls in the last month?
Yeah, I think that we've just done a good job. We're a younger team. Last year with some of the COVID kids and a sixth year senior, we had a lot of experience coming back. And this year we kind of talked about like we've got a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and kind of half the team is new to us. So we knew that it would be a different season than last year, and just kind of tried to attack those hard teams as best as we could, right? Like I think some of the schools get worried. At times you have a team that you're worried like, hey, we're starting our season with LSU and Florida State, and that could be a big shot to the confidence because they're like nationally top 10, top 5 every year. And I think that our girls really kind of leaned into that early and have just trusted the process of the season of, hey, like we're going to start in a hard place, and if we do hard things every day, by the end of the year it's going to be a little bit easier. So I think our confidence has really grown, and we've just seen a lot of freshmen kind of grow up in this semester and um, own their pre-game routines a little bit better, own their day, like their daily emotions, and kind of that mental side of it that goes in that you just have to learn, right? Like we can't expect freshmen to know everything like last year with all these returners. So it's just been cool to see the growth of the team and some of the leadership from the older girls, letting them know like, hey, this is what you can expect because you've not been to a championships or gone through a championships. And it just feels like we've had some good hard weekends to get us ready for it.
When you've won your matches recently, it's your top pairs that kind of set things early, set the results early for you. How does that help to have what's supposed to be your best duo that day, clinch that early result for you? What does that do as a coach, maybe strategically to how you go about the rest of the event?
Yeah, it's something we've talked about this year a lot is like take responsibility, right? Like know that your court is important, and then also have a lot of trust that other people are going to get it done. And we try and talk about that a lot at practice with, Katie and Selma, and the ones have just been phenomenal. And that's probably the hardest flight to play at because you're getting everybody's best. And when teams are good, everyone is excited to beat you. So we kind of say like they're doing their job every day at practice, every day in the weight room. The results are being earned before the tournament. And then that's kind of flowing back to the other pairs. So they're saying, hey, like there's been a lot of really good confidence in this year's team saying like, we want to be the first big point on the board. We're leaning into like, hey, let us be the first of the big points, and kind of trust that everyone will get it done. And then, if it doesn't go your way, which there's a ton of good teams in the country. So even within the ASUN, we've got 3 top 20 ranked teams. So every court is kind of taking some ownership and some responsibility, but then also leaning back to, I trust our preparation based on what my teammates have done through the week and in the weight room, and kind of getting ready to not feel too much pressure, right? Like in years past, we've had some pressure points where it's like, if we don't win this flight, we probably aren't going to win the duel. And I feel like this year it's been a little bit more distributed, like we're sharing the burden better across the 5 courts.
How much of maybe the weight or uh, the goal on the other end of this, clinching a spot in the NCAA tournament, how much does that weigh on you guys going through this bracket, knowing that you win this whole thing, you're in the big dance?
Yeah, I think it's always, we try and talk about it, and not with too much like mysticism or skeptic, like whatever. We just kind of try and talk about like, hey, the truth is the truth, right? Like if I'm losing a game, I can make up different stories or different reasons. And if I'm winning a game, right, like we're just trying to all year, right? Like there have been 5-0 losses that were really tight, and there have been 2-3 losses that have been really not that close. So we've been trying to say like the scoreboard, right? Like the post game box score sometimes tells a different story than maybe how the match went. And just leaning into like that, we're so excited every year to compete, to try and go to Gulf Shores. And I think last year and this year have felt just a little different in that like it's not something we're writing down and not really believing. I really think that the girls have prepared well, and we talk about, right, like if we have big goals, and that means that if they're not reached, it's going to be some vulnerability to some like gross feelings, and no one likes to lose, and a lot of teams are going to lose this weekend besides one. So we've tried to just lean into it and say like, hey, it's not a personal thing, but it's something that if we want to get to where we're going, we have to be truthful about what that journey looks like. And so I think they're excited. I don't think there's a lot of extra weight about it. I think that they're kind of like, hey, one step at a time. Nobody that we're seeing is unbeatable, and we've proven kind of throughout this season to ourselves that we are capable of big wins on all the courts. Again, we kind of talked about like sharing that burden. So I think that they're pretty optimistic and excited to kind of just compete against other good teams. That's always a highlight of the season for them, is like, we love playing ranked teams because they're really tough, but it's also fun, good volleyball. And we feel like we've been competitive in those matches.
Would you say that's a growth from last year to this year in that approach to, playing with a championship stipulation or playing in a deep tournament?
Yeah, I think last year, so the end of I was here just that first semester, right? So in season, my first year, and we lost really tightly to teams that like we just hadn't been that competitive with. And I think that kind of started the process of, hey, like the schools in Florida are always good. The big three Florida schools are always the top of our conference, but we're like points away. And that kind of started the mentality shift. And I think the big difference between this year and last year was we were really top heavy last year. It felt like our ones and twos and threes had to be the teams to win. And we struggled a little more in the bottom courts with depth. And I think this year that has been a little more like, again, kind of some more ownership of the fives and the fours, saying, hey, we're not gonna start down 0-2. Like one of us is gonna get a big point on the board so that everybody in the next flight doesn't see a deficit before they start. And I think that's probably where the most confidence and growth has happened this year, is just people saying, hey, like if we're kind of said, we're like, if not me, then who else, right? And that's a lot of things. If you see trash on the ground, pick it up, because if you don't do it, then like who else? They might just be there all day. Or if someone needs said to something, go ahead and say it in a nice, kind, loving way. But like accountability will yield great results. And I think that ownership and accountability this year has been a big growth from last year, where it felt like, well, Katie and Selma are going to win at the twos, and Paula and Taylor are going to win at the ones, and I'm going to try hard, but they've got my, like, I think this year it's just been like, hey, I want to go earn a big point for the team, and I'm not going to back down from that challenge.
Yeah, well put. And I've asked some of your colleagues in Florence this over the years, really, about the kind of the internal competition among the coaches of winning that conference championship. It was huge for basketball to make it to the tournament final, to win the regular season, and then make it to the tournament final, and then ultimately for you guys to have that first team championship in tennis for the men. That was a significant accomplishment for the program. Now that I guess tennis can say that they've won the first conference tournament, they have claimed that. How does that maybe up the stakes for you guys and the rest of the sports across the board?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of coaches say this, but it is a special room with our coaches. Like we have great administration, and there's just been, again, I'm a shortly tenured UNA guy, but in the time since we've moved here, it has been crazy to see the camaraderie between the coaches. Like the coaches group chat blows up when a team has a big win, or when Tony and the guys won the regular season, and all through the tournament. And with tennis, like, we're up late, even past bedtime. It's like, man, this group chat is active, and they're so invested with each other. So I love Coach Elia and Itor said it like 2 years ago, like, hey, we will be the first team. So if someone's going to do it, they better do it before, in the next 2 years. And now they're kind of like, hey, we told everyone it was coming. And it's just been something special, I think, to be a part of that first year here. It was like, softball's really good. Soccer had a really good season, and beach volleyball was good. Like, we were successful. And now when we look around, right, like, we do a lot of team building with tennis, and we joke that, like, some of the players have lived together in years past, and they're like, our tennis kids are more confident because they hang out with the beach kids, and you guys have a winning record. And that's bleeding over to us. And I think that has just continued to shape our department, right? Like, we see basketball doing it now, we see baseball and softball and soccer and football. Like, all of the teams are successful, and in a fun way, right? It's like a little bit of pressure that you're like, hey, we don't want to be the first team, whether it's like to give up the GPA title or community service hours. Like, we're so competitive, but competitive within the department. And I think that has just reaped major benefits for all of the sports, because it's kind of eliminated that, like, monkey on your back, so to speak, right? Or the idea of like, well, we could do it if we were in Florida where the weather's nice. Well, tennis did it, right? Like, and their girls were in the finals too, and they're in the same season in the same weather as beach volleyball. Or, I think it's just kind of eliminated excuses, and props to all the coaches for just saying, like, why can't we, like, why not us, and why not this year? And I think we've just seen that growth capped off by tennis. We're hoping that they've popped the top to a bunch more championships now to come.
Awesome, Kaleb. I really appreciate it. This has been great. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you wanted to get to?
I think no. I was excited. Teresia said that you had reached out, and we always love you guys and appreciate the support. And glad to be in Huntsville for the next ASUN tournaments for beach. It's gonna be great.
Awesome.